Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. Did you know that you can follow the Texas Revolution across a map? Or you can actually stand where it happened? This week on this episode of the show, we're doing both. From a quiet standoff in Gonzales to the aftermath at Goliad, through the roads and towns and places in between, and all the way to the moment that it actually matters, right? Where it ended in San Jacinto. And we'll actually stop by a little place called the Alamo. Do you remember that place? You should. This isn't a lecture, though. It's what it feels like to chase one story across Texas and realize that it didn't unfold quite the way we remember that it did. My name is Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And, you know, it's a big year all the way around. Texas history celebrates its independence from Mexico 190 years ago.
Right.
In the making. And that's as America, the United States of America, to be more precise, turns 250. Mm-hmm. And great things like the Route 66 turn 100. So there's like anniversaries, big anniversaries.
A lot happening.
Going on.
Yeah. And maybe listeners don't know this, but we are from Texas. We feel a great love for the state, even though we don't live there anymore. And you love Texas history.
Absolutely.
So you took it upon yourself to drive the trail of the Texas Revolution, basically, and make all the stops of the moments that matter. Because most people do think it's all about the Alamo. They don't even know there anything else is even involved in it. And it's not just that one little story. That's just a piece of it.
Yeah. It's often what people remember the most is the Alamo. Of course, there's the saying, remember the Alamo, that was used actually in battle and that people remember. And that's the big one, right? Mm-hmm. That's the movies have been made about it, the TV shows, and it also had a lot of celebrity attached to it, like Davy Crockett and William Travis and a lot of well-known heroic figures. And that's kind of where it begins and ends for most people. But if you want to follow the actual trail, well, you got to go to where the whole thing kicked off. And you would think it would be this big momentous thing, like this big giant battle where finally Texians and settlers and Tejanos all together were like, no more Santa Ana, no more for you. But instead, it kind of began like the American Revolution began. You know, in Lexington and Concord, just a bunch of farmers got together and they were like, we've had enough of this.
Right.
And start shooting at the trees, basically, because they're not very good shots. They're not professional soldiers.
No, but I mean, as you said, that's how most revolutions start, with somebody just standing up and saying, we've had enough.
Yeah.
And that started where?
In a little town called Gonzales. Gonzales sits about an hour and a half east of San Antonio. It's a town of no more than, I want to say, 5,000 or 6,000 people today. Back in 1835, when all this first took off, it was a handful of settlers and a handful of buildings. Like I said, most of them farmers. You had a blacksmith, some shopkeepers, but no professional soldiers, right? So it didn't start as this bold declaration of independence, like we said. It started because no one wanted to back down over something small enough to ignore until it really wasn't, okay? And I know my history is like getting all...
You are. And I want to tell
excited.
listeners, you love this stuff, and you are on our YouTube channel. So the Unscaled Travel Show YouTube. Over the next several weeks, you will be releasing videos that goes into each of these places. So if you really want the history, check out the YouTube channel. We're just going to gloss over it now, though.
And tell you the places that you should go that really matter, you know, on this trail, right? So... little bit of background. I won't bore you. I know if Amy starts, going to sleep, if you hear some snoring, that means I've gone too far, right? So let me just paint the picture. Texas in 1835 isn't unified or pushing for independence. Remember, at this time, it belongs to Mexico, who just 15 years before gained their independence from Spain. So it's not a part of the United States. It's not anything like that. They don't even want independence from Mexico yet. It's very tense. It's divided. And a lot of people are unsure what the new future actually looks like for the people that live in this area. Mexico comes under the control of a guy named Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, or just Santa Anna for short, right? He's a military genius. He really is. but he's tightening control over locals. It is getting less and less like this wonderful regime change that they had to more of an authoritarian kind of look, right? Yeah. He's trying to tell people what they could do, what they can't do, and basically starts disarming people in towns that he didn't think were very loyal to him. Okay. That includes the little settlement of Gonzales, Texas. Why does Gonzales matter? It doesn't really matter. They loaned them a cannon in 1831 to basically scare off Comanche Indians that kept raiding the town. The cannon barely functioned. It was more, the historians say, it was probably a better use to just start horse races than actually use in battle. It wasn't very good.
So Gonzales has a cannon that Mexico gave it. It doesn't really work. And now Mexico decides they want it back.
Absolutely. They go there with a small contingency of troops. They say, we want this back. The people of the town say no. And there's nothing the troops can do immediately because the river is high. And the Texians, as they're called at the time, have pulled all the boats and like ferries and everything else because they had a feeling something like this was going to happen, because a small group of soldiers actually came before them, like 5 of them. And they were like, hey, can we have the cannon? They were like, no, you can't do that. So troops are on one side, settlers are on the other. And the town they stalled for about 2 or 3 days and gave every excuse in the book why they couldn't hand over this cannon until finally the Mexican commander had enough. He starts looking up and down the river for a way to cross because he was going to take it, whether they wanted it to happen or not, right? So basically other things happen. These guys get together. They call for reinforcements. People come. They make a makeshift flag in the middle of the night one night. They paint a cannon on it and 4 famous words underneath that cannon. And the next day they fly it high behind the cannon. And what does it say on the flag, Amy?
Come and take it.
Come and take it.
I love it.
It wasn't so much a battle cry as it was a challenge.
4 words that started a revolution.
Now the come and take it flag and the come and take it motto is now rampant across the U.S. People use it for everything. They've kind of twisted it into other things or whatever. But it is the most recognized flag of the Texas Revolution. It's one of the most famous battle cries in all of human history. People know that one just as much as they remember the Alamo.
Right, yeah.
And so this is where it all kind of kicks off. There's a couple of skirmishes here and there, but nothing big. The Mexican army retreats. The settlers say, hey, we did something, but they didn't know what was going to be happening down the road. So this is where it actually matters there in Gonzales. So the 3 places that you want to go in Gonzales to get the full story are places like the Gonzales Memorial Museum. Why do you want to start there? Because they actually have one of the 2 come and take it cannons. Like the real cannons that were fired during these little skirmishes. The smaller one is there.
The smaller one.
There's a smaller one, and then there's the big bronze 6-pounder that the Mexican army actually came for. That one ended up in the Alamo, and history is kind of unsure about where it went. Do they still have
the flag?
The flag doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
The flag actually was lost back in 1835. It didn't even see out the end of the year.
Really?
And so everything you see is just replicants and reproductions.
So they have a museum.
They got a museum.
What else do they have?
By the river, they have the actual standoff area. They have it marked in a monument kind of area where you can go and see where these guys actually told them, no one's home. You can't come in. We're not allowed to let strangers into our building. And then a little bit down the road is the actual come and take it monument where the first shot of the revolution is staked. So
interesting.
3 important areas. You could probably see all of them, visit all of them in less than an hour, but it kicks off to a wider journey. So Gonzales, Texas, right? Put it number 1 on your list. Keep it right here. Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-host, co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Check us out online, unscaled.travelshow.com. Find all kinds of fun little weird stories on there, our little YouTube channel. It's growing.
It is?
You need to be a part of it. Have some fun. We're talking about the Texas Revolution, the stops you should make, right? Towns and places in those towns.
Well, and I think we need to tell people, you actually just did this.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about these places from memory or from reading about them. You just did this last week. You flew to Texas and you drove this path of the revolution that we're talking about, and you went to the places that we are recommending.
Yeah, I picked up my friend Andy, and we drove. He was a good sport about it because you couldn't be there. And, you know, I'm also going to talk in just a little bit about some fun things as well, because we're going to get into some heavy history, and some of these places are a little bit heavy, including this next place. So you need a little levity in there to kind of break up some sessions, especially in this area, right? So if Gonzales was the spark of the Texas Revolution, Goliad, the city of Goliad, would show what it would cost to have independence from Mexico.
So Goliad's where it got ugly.
Goliad is where it gets very ugly for the settlers and the Texas Revolutionary fighters. So just about an hour and a half to 2 hours south of Gonzales, Texas, is a town called Goliad. And why does it matter? If there is a point in here where revolution stops feeling like a bold stand and starts feeling like almost a mistake, or you have to answer to these consequences, this is where it is. Okay.
Well, this is, if my Texas history is right, this is where the only time I recall the term massacre being used in the Texas Revolution.
So after Gonzales, right, the fighters and forces gain early momentum. They have some confidence, but they're scattered and not quite as strong as they might think. A man named James Fannin. James Fannin is a famous Texas war hero. You'll see his name on a lot of buildings, a lot of streets throughout Texas. So this is where it comes from. He has some delays retreating from Goliad as Santa Anna and his huge army start closing in. He actually gets caught and surrounded in a place called Coleto Creek, which is right up the road from Goliad. They have a brief battle. James Fannin surrenders. He realizes it's futile. He surrenders his forces, and the understanding that they would be treated like prisoners of war. So he gives up his arms. The guys are marched a little bit south to the town of Goliad to a place called the Presidio La Bahia. The Presidio in Spanish means fort. It's a fort. So they come and they bring about 400 guys as prisoners of war to this area. These guys think, hey, nothing bad's going to happen to us. They're in fact, the morning that this actually happens, I think it's Palm Sunday in 1836. We've moved forward a couple of months. In 1836, March 1836, I believe. Yeah. Whatever, doesn't matter. But they're actually being walked out of Presidio in different columns. Some of the guys are laughing and singing because, hey, they're getting put on a boat. They might go to a prison somewhere.
They have no idea what's
But they're all gentlemen. They all think, hey, there's rules to war, and this guy's going to follow the rules. They're all marched out and basically slaughtered.
Yeah.
Shot, stabbed, all the bad things. Yeah. James Fannin is killed. Some, very few, are get away. They run in the chaos. They jump in the creek. They hide, do whatever they can. There's actually a woman named Francida Alvarez, who they would later call the Angel of Goliad, because she actually snuck some of the guys out. She was the either wife or mistress of one of the Mexican officers. Okay. She had pity on the Texians because she knew what was coming. She snuck some of these guys out in the middle of the night and saved some lives.
So Goliad is where it went from being some people standing up for their beliefs to this is an actual, this is a battle.
And Santa Anna showed that he was not going to honor. He was going to take no prisoners. He was offering no quarter. He was putting down a rebellion in his eyes. and he was going to do everything he could to break their spirits.
So you were just there, and I know you visited a couple of these historic spots. And as we said, this is kind of heavy history, and I imagine a lot of what's there does pay honor to what happened.
Sure.
Does it feel, is depressing the right word? I don't know what word to use, but did it feel heavy in the moment while you were there?
It is. So the Presidio still stands. I think it's about $10 to go in and see it. I mean, it's been restored in a lot of places. There is a heaviness in the atmosphere. You know, you see it, and they don't give one side, like Texas good, Mexico bad. It's from all angles. What's happening? You know, why does Santa Anna do this thing? Why, you know, how did the Mexican officers see it? They don't all agree with it. In fact, the leading one was like, he didn't want to do any of this.
Okay.
Some of them tried to sway Santa Anna and say, hey, look, let's not do this. It's going to cause more problems than it's going to solve. And they kind of get into why Santa Anna did what he did and why he thought it was the correct thing to do. And also afterwards, they kind of left it all a mess in order to send a signal.
So is the Presidio now like a museum that tells this whole story?
Yeah, it's a basically a museum that you can go into. It's huge. It has a huge open area like Presidios and forts and stuff like that were as they
like
were back
courtyard.
in the day. They had some like fake cannons around, and to give you a good sense of what the area looked like. And then they have different areas marked off saying like this happened here, or we think this happened here. So it's a lot of good history that you can visit within a half a day and get the gist. So right around the corner from that is the Fannin Memorial Monument, where they constructed this beautiful monument in honor of all the people that were massacred there. And of course, right in between that is an Angel of Goliad statue as well, honoring Miss Alvarez for her efforts to save some lives.
Wow.
So it is a heavy thing. I don't think littler kids will understand, but if you enjoy history, if you enjoy just kind of, and you don't shy away from the icky parts of it, this is one, but it also becomes a strong rallying cry.
Well, it seems like a pivotal moment in the revolution.
Texian forces see this and they're kind of like, okay, we're done playing around. Everyone understands that this isn't a cute little thing,
right?
That this is a really big deal.
Okay. I've never been to Goliad. Is it a small town?
Yeah, it's a pretty, Gonzales and Goliad are probably roughly the same size. Goliad might be a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So there are some nice places to stay and eat and drink and things like that, along with a number of historical things that not just...
So you could probably see it all in a couple of hours and move on to the next
Why not?
Step in the revolution.
Yeah, you fill up your car, grab a Dr. Pepper, hit the road. Keep it right here on Scale Travel Show. Be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Ain.
Hello.
We're talking about the road to Texas Revolution. Something like that. It gets pretty heavy. We're just talking about Gonzales, and it was kind of like a skirmish and no real big things happening as far as loss of life, things like that. Then you go into places like Goliad, and where there's a humongous loss of life, and it feels a little heavy. So, like I told you, I'm with my friend Andy, and who is kind of like you, Amy, in the fact that like he enjoys history not as much as I do. So I intentionally tried to build in some fun, and like I said earlier, like just a little bit of levity. Right. To once you go and see the heaviness, you're like, okay, what? not to make light of it, but like, let's do a little something to take some of that off of us for a little bit. So I ended up in a couple of different places that I want to kind of break this up with and talk about, because they are fun to go depending on your type of traveler that you're with, or you yourself, depending on what you want to do, they're very different things.
Yeah.
The first one is Palmetto State Park. So Palmetto State Park is a lovely little state park right there in the middle of everything. It's right actually outside of Gonzales.
Okay.
And they have camping areas and like RV hookups and things. So you can go in there if you're #van life, you can drive your van in there. There's actually one cabin for rent that luckily was available for the 2 nights I needed it.
So you got the the one cabin.
The one cabin was occupied by me.
Which the picture you sent me of the cabin was lovely. It's right on, it looks like a little inlet of water. There's beautiful trees around it. It looked like something from, I don't know, a movie or something.
It is. The San Marcos River runs right through the park. So it's like this, it's hard to describe. It's like this bluish green body of water in this area that flows through. Now, San Marcos, I think a lot of people float it.
Yeah.
That's closer to Austin, maybe New Braunfels, Fredericksburg, that type of place. But it's a beautiful little state park, lots of little trails. But it's, I found it most interesting. The reason I wanted to stay there is because it's sits right next to a town, this little small community called Autine. That's Ottine, right? Because it was founded by a guy named Otto. So they just kind of put the ending on it, Autine.
Got it.
And his sons, whatever, years ago. It was back in the day. It was probably a Wednesday. But they have a fun little story there that I think if you like hiking and birding and those kind of things, and it's a state park, so you can fish without a license, you want to do all that, boom, Palmetto State Park. That's perfect for this.
Right.
But they actually have a little story there that attracted the nerd in me. And it's the Autine swamp monster.
Oh, I love it.
So sorry, I'm laughing. The Autine swamp monster. So to describe Palmetto State Park, you have to understand what a palmetto flower or a palmetto plant is, right? So, I mean, it's a plant that looks like it definitely comes from the Jurassic period.
True.
Palmetto State Park basically sits in the middle of miles and miles and miles of farmland. So it stands out. It looks like an ecosystem from 10,000 years ago that shouldn't exist in this area. Like it just pops up in the middle of nowhere, and it looks like dinosaurs definitely walk through here.
Right, right.
So to explain a lot of stuff that they couldn't understand, I'm guessing the early residents of Autine basically said, there's something in there.
Well, and on that note, it is swampland, right? Which is very unusual for this part of the state of Texas. As you said, it's farmland. We do have swamps closer to the Gulf, but at this part of the country, there should not be swamps. So that's just a whole nother level of it. But you were telling me you would wake up in the morning, and just because of this ecosystem, there would be a lot of fog and mist. Thick fog. And it does kind of play with your perception of reality a little bit.
Your senses are a little thrown. Okay, because you can hear cows. Obviously, there's farmland somewhere near, but it's a thick fog in a really thick forest with palmetto plants everywhere. And it's almost like palmettos need a lot of water too. So there's water everywhere. So it is this like swampy feel, just kind of off the highway.
And people have been saying that
something lives in Palmetto.
Something not human.
Something, well, yeah. No, if I said Jim lives
but not human, not known animal, like some creature.
Something lives out there that they can't quite explain, but people have been citing since the 1800s, since the town was settled.
Well, I know you walked the Autine Trail. Did you see something?
Yeah, the Autine Swamp Trail. I woke up early in the morning, went out there. I saw rabbits. I videoed rabbits and deer. Lots of deer out there. Got no swamp monster.
Darn.
I did. When you're out there by yourself, it is and can be a little unsettling. Now, as the sun rose, it gets less that way. But first thing in the morning, when there is a thick fog, it is a little like, okay, I can see. Like I have a supercomputer in my pocket. I'm one dial away from help. But if it's the 1850s and I'm walking out here, it's probably a little bit different story. Right. And there's something moving around. There was one night where I got up in the middle of the night to use the facilities. And I just wanted to look outside. And so I opened the cabin door, walked outside for a minute, and something was definitely moving around in the woods, very close to the cabin. Like it saw me and I saw it in the darkness, and like it started moving, like running through the forest. And I was like,
Did you see eyes looking at you?
I don't know, because I was screaming. Like if you were staying that night at Palmetto State Park, I'm sorry, that was me screaming in the middle of the night. I couldn't find the door to get back into the cabin.
It was that dark?
Yes.
So is it like dark sky country?
Not quite,
okay.
But they do have low light rules at a certain time. Like you need to turn off your lights and do all that. So there's not much going on out there. The lights they do have are on timers. So it gets pretty dark, a lot of foggy, and there might be a swamp monster out there. Keep it right here on Scale Travel Show. Be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Co-Explorer.
Hello.
Oh, looking lovely. We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Talking Texas Revolution history, but I wanted to take a couple moments to provide just a little bit of break between it because you lose people. Mm-hmm. I lost you. You started looking at a magazine a minute ago.
I love that you love the history so much, but sometimes you get a little bit deep in it. So we have to take some moments to bring it back and go do some fun stuff.
So I was on this trip with my friend Andy because you couldn't be there. And I thought the same thing. Like, I'm going to throw a lot of history stops at Andy. So I got to offer up some fun stuff. We stopped in Palmetto State Park. We walked around, did some hikes, got some fresh air, saw some animals, things like that. But I also wanted to take them somewhere fun, and that is nearby in a town called Shiner, Texas.
I've been wanting to visit Shiner for a while.
Now, everyone from Texas knows Shiner because of the wonderful adult beverages and brewskis that they create. Okay. A lot of people around the United States might be familiar with Shiner because of their Shiner Bock beer. It's kind of famous and it's wonderful, and I wish they would sponsor my show. Okay.
I did used to think that Shiner was only sold in Texas, but the more we've traveled, we have seen it other places. So it is. Yeah. The word is getting out, but I would call it definitely a local beer, Bock, whatever it is.
So Shiner has nothing to do with the Texas Revolution directly. It did have some early settlement folks that did serve and do some stuff, but that's not why I was there with Andy. So this is a town that was mainly started by German and Czech immigrants. And by that logic, not much of what was going on around them really mattered because they were just trying to keep to themselves and make things happen for themselves. So the very, very quick history of the Shiner Brewery and how do you say their actual just the whole name? The Spotzel Brewery?
I think that's how you say it.
Spotzel. I'm sorry. I'm probably, I just say Shiner. Everyone knows Shiner.
Exactly.
But the actual brewery is called Spotzel, okay? The Shiner Brewery Association was started in the town of Shiner. They didn't have a head brewing master, head guy to make the actual beer. Head brewmaster? There you go. The actual guy to make the beer. Luck would have it. a guy named, I think his first name was Edwin Spotzel. He came over from Europe, had stops in Italy and in Canada, came through San Francisco. Luck would have it, he knew all about beer. He was a brew master. He was a genius with it, right? So within a year, he gets into Shiner. He takes over the Brewing Association, kind of buys it all out, starts this company, and since then has just it's taken on a life of its own.
Right.
But if you go there, the brewery has transformed over the years from just, humble beginnings to now there are restaurants on site. They have a live music performance area where I guess singers of all kinds are always on stage, like giving performances. You don't have to have any official business at the brewery. You can just walk up. They have a wonderful barbecue sandwich place.
Oh, really?
Or a barbecue place. They serve all kinds of delicious barbecue. You just get a barbecue, and they can't. The weird thing is they can't directly sell beer.
Okay.
Right? So they can't sell you a beer. But if you buy, say, a cup, maybe a piece of merchandise or something like that, they'll give you little tokens, and you can trade those tokens in for a beer in their tap room.
So you can't buy alcohol, but you can be rewarded with alcohol for buying other things.
There you go. You can be handed a free beer because it's a beer. I'm just giving you a beer, right?
Well, and they offer brewery tours, which is, we've done it a few places. And you said that you told me before you even went, I want to do a tour of Shiner.
Yeah, Andy and I did.
Well, I'll come back to what you got at the end of the tour, but how was that? Because sometimes these tours are very just, it's very dry and this is the tank that does this and this is the tank that does this. How was this tour?
I think it walked the line. There was enough surface level where they were like, this is a tank that does this, and here's the brewing process, and here's the hops and malt and all that stuff, with their history and with just because it kind of dives into the area itself, the people that were involved there, things good things to know. They've only had 6 or 7 brewmasters in their entire 100+ year history, because most of their brewmasters stick around for decades and decades and decades. That keeps quality consistent. That keeps all of that. The family story behind it. So I think it scratches a niche for anyone. If you're really into brewing, you do home brew kits or something like that, boom, you can go in there and see how the big boys and girls do it. And also you get enough of the hey, we're having fun.
Right.
This is a brewery, but it's kind of I went on the Bluebell Creamery tour years ago, and I love Bluebell ice cream. And so they have the same kind of motto. We're a smaller company, so they used to have a famous commercial that said, we sell what we can and we eat the rest, something like that.
We eat what we can and we sell the rest.
Well, we eat what we can and we sell the rest. It's kind of the same thing at Shiner. They're we drink our beer and we love it, and we sell everything that we don't, whatever. So it was
usually
really fun.
On brewery tours, you get to sample some of the products. Did you get to sample?
Yeah.
Because
they also give you tokens for that. They give you tokens when you buy a tour. So Andy, we didn't know this going in. So Andy bought some glasses. We got some tokens. We got 3 tokens apiece. We took the tour. We just got 3 tokens apiece. We did something else. We got 3 tokens apiece. So by the end of it, we had a lot of beer to sample. And I was really happy with that.
Well, you know how much I love food. I want to revisit the food spots on site. You mentioned the barbecue place, but was that the only food they have for people, which I don't know who fits in this category, but people who may not like barbecue?
They have a couple more food options, including a pizza option, because they're just starting to get into distilling. So they're working and about to start releasing their own bourbons and gins and things of that nature. So there are a couple of other restaurants on the other side that work later in the evenings. So after 4 p.m., you can have all that set up, right? Keep it right here on Scale Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. So, I was very lucky. I got to follow the Texas Revolution path, took a trip down there. You couldn't be with me, so I hijacked my friend Andy and his time. Appreciate him tagging along. And taking them around a few key areas in the Texas Revolution stop. So we went to Gonzales, and we saw the Presidio and Goliad. Well, everything kind of focuses back in towards San Antonio, and the place most people know about the Texas Revolution, and that's the Alamo.
Right.
So I won't go too deep into the Alamo because, look, people, there's all kinds of movies. There's TV shows. There's podcasts. There's songs. Okay, so you can remember the Alamo in your old time. But I will say this. Everything up to this point was kind of collapsing back into San Antonio, and this is where it all kind of came to a head, right? Texas started, or the Texian fighters started having some successes, but everything starts to crack for them. Santa Anna is on a war path. He is not taking prisoners. In fact, outside of the Alamo, excuse me, let me gather my thoughts. He actually raises a flag that basically signaled to the Texian fighters, like, we are not giving any quarter to anyone. Anyone who wants to leave, you leave. But if you raise a rifle against us, we're going to cut you down. So he tells them up front, like, this ain't going to end good if you stay in that Alamo. Give up, come out. The siege happens for 13 days. In the end, everyone is gone.
Right.
And that's the polite way to say it, including some people that were at the beginning. Some soldiers from Gonzales answered the call to the Alamo for reinforcements, and the men from Gonzales were the only ones who answered their call. So it all comes full circle to this moment. And anyway,
that in itself is an interesting story that you are going to tell more on your YouTube channel. So for those wanting to know the story, you can get into that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not going to bore you here, with all of this.
But you've been to the Alamo in the past. Mm-hmm. I've been. It's been a long time, but you decided to go back. Like, you wanted to see it with fresh eyes, and it's been a few years since you were in San Antonio. Yeah. So has anything about it changed? I mean, I know it's a museum and it's a piece of history, but have they added to it? How's it different for people who may have gone in the past? Is it worth another visit?
So it seems like the area around the Alamo, if not the Alamo itself, is constantly under construction. They are constantly doing more and more around the plaza, the Alamo Plaza, and whether it's adding parking, they have some huge structure going up, like $600 million being spent on this building that someone pointed out to me, and I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be, whether it's supposed to be like another exhibit hall or something, but it's a huge work in progress that they have going up there in the heart of San Antonio. They also, a couple of years ago, the last time I went, they had just opened a new exhibit center that was basically all the exhibits inside, all the artifacts inside were by private collector Phil Collins.
Oh.
Mega superstar musician and songwriter Phil Collins fell in love with the Alamo and, started collecting pieces decades and decades ago. And he had a huge collection that he has on loan at this new exhibit.
Really?
Yeah. So if you go online, you can buy a ticket to the Alamo, and it includes admission to the exhibit hall. And I think tickets are $20.
Oh, not bad.
It's super affordable.
Not bad.
To go in there.
And the other thing, if for people who haven't been there, but maybe you're thinking of traveling, the Alamo is right in the heart of San Antonio. So if you're going and you're doing other things, but you want to just make a quick stop at the Alamo, It's right there. Depending on where you're staying, but if you're at the Riverwalk, it's literally across the street from all the fun touristy things that you're going to do.
Yeah, the world famous Riverwalk that has just amazing restaurants. Yeah, it's a little bit more touristy, but it's touristy for a reason. People love going down there. They love getting on the boats and doing little river cruises. There's tons of stuff for the kids. Very close by, I think maybe a 5-minute drive from the Alamo is their own Lego land.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They have all kinds of things. I mean, all you got to do is a quick Google search, but I would recommend doing maybe the city pass that they offer, that you can get 4 or 5 of these, either the Alamo and a couple of other things all together. The San Antonio Zoo is remarkable. In fact, our friends over at Visit San Antonio hosted me a couple years ago, and they got me in there and they let me feed giraffes.
Oh, that was where you fed the giraffes. The story where you pushed a kid out of the way.
I did. I pushed a small child out of the way so I could feed giraffes. Why did you say that on air, man? That was, I told you that in confidence.
I wish I would have been there for that.
But yeah, so San Antonio itself is just a really fun city to go visit. There's so much to do in that area itself, or in the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
Just south of San Antonio, if you hit the area in the right time of year, is Poteet, Texas.
Yes,
which is famous for the Poteet Strawberry Festival.
Right. And then not too far, I don't know exactly the distance in my head, is what we always considered like the ultimate water park.
Oh, a place called Schlitterbahn.
Schlitterbahn Water Park, yes. And you mentioned earlier people floating the river. At Schlitterbahn, the San Marcos River is right next to it. And from some of the water slides, you will see people on inner tubes just floating down the river.
It's a weird.
It is a weird
It can
place.
be a weird moment, man. You're like in your bathing suit and they have, I don't know what it's called anymore. I used to know off the top of my head because we went all the time, but the highest like ride you can get on and you're standing there and it feels like you're standing on top of the world. You're definitely above the tree lines and everything. And then you just see people in a nearby river and some of them start cheering you on while you're up there and you're terrified because you're 11 and you think everything is going to kill you. And then you just have some fun. Andy and I actually talked about Schlitterbahn when we were going by.
Were you?
Yeah. At one time I lost my shorts on a ride. Not even joking. I did. Lost them.
You know, we talk about floating the river. It's a phrase that we know growing up there. I didn't realize other people had no idea what we were talking about. But it's where you get in like an inflatable inner tube and you just float down the river. But people take kind of the floating ice chest with them, drag their drinks with them, and you do it as a group. So sometimes people tether their inner tubes.
And you get a group of friends together.
Yeah.
You get with a company that provides inner tubes or you supply them yourself. They have a drop-off point, a pickup point, which is usually it's miles down the river, and it takes 4, 5, 6 hours depending on how far you go down the river. But like you said, you have an ice chest full of drinks. Yeah, no one brings sunscreen. No one brings food. And surprisingly, no one has to get out of the water to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's weird. And on busy months like July, I mean, that thing is packed.
It is.
With people.
Yeah.
But it's a fun time.
It is.
Just don't dunk your head in the water.
No.
No, just don't do that.
And all of this right in the area of the Texas Revolution.
And you notice the names too. I mean, we talked earlier about the German and Czech influence, like in places like Shiner, but nearby, I mean, we mentioned Schlitterbahn, and you'll see New Braunfels and Fredericksburg, who all have this like Czech and German influence in their towns, and their names and their people. A lot of last names.
The little town of Green. Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go every time we went to San Antonio. My parents made us go to Green.
Yeah,
it's just something you did.
Yeah, why not? And a lot of the Green Dance Hall is famous.
Yes.
A lot of the who's who of country music has stopped through the Green Dance Hall to have a performance. And that goes back, I think, decades and decades. Willie and that group.
Yeah.
All of them. Keep it right here, Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Downscale Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
My co-revolutionary, Amy. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. I'm taking the Texas Road Revolutionary Road? There you go.
Sure.
Texas Revolutionary Road. It's an actual... I mean, I don't know if it's a path. I know there's a trail called the Texas Independence Trail that you can actually hike.
But you didn't do that.
I did do it. No. Do I look like that? You can follow kind of the birth of Texas, starting in Gonzales, like we talked about, going through a place named Goliad, ending up in San Antonio at the world famous Alamo. But where it all ended is miles away in a place called San Jacinto. This is on the east side of Houston, outside of Houston. And now there's a huge monument to it and everything. And there's been lots of stories on it, lots of movies, lots of television. Again, just like the Alamo. So I don't want to go too deep into it because, look, for 99 cents and like maybe 35 cents and late fees at your local library, you can learn all about this stuff.
You can go down to Blockbuster, get you a movie.
Blockbuster. Yeah, you can go to Blockbuster still. I don't know. There's one left.
Actually, I heard they're opening some new ones.
Oh, okay.
It's coming back. Anyway.
Of course. This is something like Scrubs. This is something that should stay in the past.
You mentioned there's monuments and things like that. I feel like the monument at San Jacinto is huge. And maybe it's just because I haven't seen a lot of monuments, but Texas doesn't do things halfway. Yeah.
So there's a giant Mason column, kind of like the Washington Monument, right? In Washington, D.C. The San Jacinto Monument is actually taller than Washington Monument.
Really?
D.C. I think it's taller than it by like 12 to 15 feet or something like that. But yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. I remember seeing it several times.
Did you go like as a field trip when you were younger?
We did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And used to be out there. I think they've moved it since, but like the USS Texas, the battleship.
Yes.
Battleship Texas used to be out there. But there is this grand like San Jacinto Memorial Park that's out there that has tributes to almost everyone that had any kind of part in the Texas Revolution. Guys like Sam Houston and Stephen F. Austin, Davy Crockett, and all kinds of wonderful stories and tragic stories that came out of this. So
right.
If you have the time, make your way from San Antonio to San Jacinto to get the full scope and full picture of the Texas Revolution, which actually, I mean, if you look at the calendar, everything kicked off October 2nd, 1835, and the Battle of San Jacinto was what?
I think it was
March?
It was in March.
March or April? I think it's in April, actually. April 1836. The army, the Texian army, surrounds Santa Anna, catches them off guard basically in San Jacinto, and makes them sign a treaty right then and there. So it's only a few months.
Wow.
Most people think it's like the American Revolution, that it happened over years, but no, it's kind of by luck and by chance that all of this fell the right way, because Santa Anna had the numbers, he had the resources, he had the troops, he had all of that, and just got caught off guard once. And boom, there you go.
I'm going to get a little bit off topic of the travel aspect, but do you think that's why this whole story of the Texas Revolution and the Alamo and all of this is a little bit romanticized? Is because it shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have won. Like all this. Yeah. And it's also during the time of like the Wild West, which gets romanticized too. But I feel like a lot of people know parts of it, and it's kind of like this mythical thing in people's minds.
Yeah, and a part of it, honestly, is the misinformation that came out of it. Because remember, Texas wasn't a part of the United States. So everything coming out of there, and newspapers weren't really daily on the frontier. So all the information was coming by like a guy who heard, or another guy who heard from another guy. a famous story is Davy Crockett did indeed die at the Alamo. But for months and almost a year later, they were quoting him in newspapers all across the eastern seaboard of the United States. People saying, I just had dinner with Davy Crockett 2 nights ago. And it always say, because I've done the actual research on these stories, and it always say like a well-placed source or a guy of high moral character swears he just had a drink with Davy Crockett 3 nights ago in Tennessee or whatever.
Really?
And so like a lot of misinformation. So a lot of stories, whether true or untrue, were born out of this revolution that, I'm telling you, it didn't happen too much. It didn't happen too long after the American Revolution. So a lot of stories were just kind of romanticized, like you said, and people took it to heart. Like once the Alamo fell and they were printing that in newspapers, people from all across the United States started taking up arms and heading towards Texas. So even though Sam Houston and Stephen F. Austin had this moment when they catch Santa Anna off guard, and the Battle of San Jacinto only lasted 18 minutes.
18 minutes.
18 minutes for freedom. Boom. They came over the hill, and the story goes, a lot of the Mexican troops, it was in the middle of the day, it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, they were taking naps.
Oh, wow.
Santa Anna himself was in his tent, occupied, and like some say sleeping, some say doing other things. And he was just completely caught off guard. He was captured the next day in tall grass, and he had changed uniforms with a private. He wasn't even in his general's uniform. So a lot of things just kind of fell into place that weren't supposed to happen. So by the time a lot of volunteers from across the United States got to Texas, the war was over.
Well, so as you said, this happened outside of Houston. And for people not familiar with the geography of Texas, it's close, but it's not that close to San Antonio and Goliad and Gonzales.
Yeah. I mean, it's what, 3.5, 4 hours
to drive it.
To drive it now.
Right.
So back then, that was weeks of travel.
So, I don't know enough about the story, like why it ended in San Jacinto.
So basically, San Antonio happens, the Alamo happens, Santa Anna starts chasing. The Texas forces are scattered. He's chasing now the leadership. He's chasing guys like Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston, these guys. He wants to crush them once and for all. There is a great story out of it called the Runaway Scrape. And this is because most of the fighting Texans are gone. They were either killed in Goliad or they were killed at the Alamo. Huge numbers of men. So this left a lot of women with young children by themselves. And so the word came through. Santa Anna's army is coming through, and he's not sparing anyone. Grab what you can and get the heck out of here. So what happens? Most people start moving east. They're trying to get to the United States. Because they figure Santa Anna won't cross into what is officially the actual United States, Louisiana, Arkansas, all these places like that. He won't do that. There'll be some protection. And he's chasing them up to the line. So if you look at where San Jacinto is, where Louisiana is now,
it's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
They were getting desperate, and he closed in very, very, very quickly.
And that is the area we grew up in, right outside of Houston. I mean, an hour or so away from San Jacinto. Yeah. So we've driven, we say San Jacinto.
Yeah, no, I just heard it.
But,
San Jacinto.
Yeah, we've driven through there so many times. Like you said, we've seen the monument. We used to go there on field trips. I don't recall doing a whole lot of other things there, but I know my parents used to go out there all the time because they were in a Jeep club, and they would go rock climbing in their Jeeps in the San Jacinto area. There's a lot of outdoor things to do there. Yeah. But what are some of the other things that people can go check out that are more related to the Texas Revolution?
Yeah, so I mean, beyond the San Jacinto Monument and the San Jacinto State Historical Park, do a little bit of research, but there is a ferry crossing that a lot of these women and children got caught at because the ferry could only bring so many across at a time. And so they were kind of holed up here going, oh no, if the army comes over. Luckily, Santa Anna swung his army around to the east and didn't catch up to the ferry crossing, because otherwise he would have had a huge bargaining chip.
Oh, right.
A lot of women and children to trade. So he gets caught in this area, but there's little stories in there. There's a lot of stories of like spies and different people like that. That it's just, I think it's worth a Google trip. Go down the Google road and you can find different things. But for families, there's tons of just places on the east side of like Houston and Mount Bellevue and the Baytown area where Kemah Boardwalk to go and eat and take care of the little legs after they've been walking around the monument all day. Thank you so much for enduring my history. I promise I'll keep these few and far between on Scale Travel Show. We'll see you guys next time.